Welcome to this Flipdishers in Focus podcast. Today I'm joined by Máire Neary, VP of People and Legal at Flipdish. Máire, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So it's a bit unusual we're doing this here, considering we're both or sort of based out of the Dublin office. And what brings you to London?
So we had our employee engagement offsite in London earlier this week. It's something we have every 6 months in Flipdish. And our leadership group had a meeting as well. And I decided to stay on for a few days to catch up with all our lovely people in the London office.
And how did the offsite go?
It went really well. The way it works is our employees nominate different people across the business, as you know, having been an attendee of one of them. And we come together and discuss very different employee engagement topics and areas of focus.
It's nice to hear that Flipdish are kind of constantly, getting feedback from around the business, not maybe just from the top, and making sure they're actioning that, right?
Yeah. So for me, being a great place to work is a constant moving feet. You get a few things right that could change, over the course of weeks, months, and just to keep it constantly on the top of the agenda. So we had a good few days. The weather definitely helped. We had people from Ireland, UK and Pakistan as well.
Great. Gets a bit more of a kind of a team vibe going, right? Like you feel part of something when you're not just sitting at home on a laptop.
Exactly.
Yourself. So you're obviously wearing a lot of hats at the moment. So you've got the people in there, you've got your legal side. Can you take me back to when you joined Flipdish and how has your kind of career journey been?
Sure. So I'm actually at Flipdish 4 years.
Congratulations.
Next week rather, but it falls in a weekend. It's gone very, very fast. So I joined as general counsel. So I was Flipdish's first legal hire, and that was to build out and establish the legal function. And 6 months later, we raised our Series C fundraising, in which we became valued as a unicorn, which, as you know, means over $1 billion.
Are you taking any credit for that? Is that directly linked to your...
No, that wasn't the insinuation at all.
I don't know about that now. Sounds like it.
It's all about teamwork. And about 2 years later, 2.5 years in, I got the opportunity to become head of people. And then a few months ago, I became VP of People and Legal. So I've had three different role titles since I'm here, from legal to people. I took on hiring for the best part of a year. And yeah, it's been a busy few years, but really intellectually stimulating. Have learned lots, worked with so many great people along the way who have shaped my own professional journey.
And you're a little bit of a celeb now, right? Was there a newspaper article written about you and your success? Did that come up? Did I see circling?
that was a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the Sligo Champion, because as you know, I'm a very proud Sligo woman.
Yep.
And the Sligo Champion, I believe, is owned by the Irish Independent. So the article had gone online and all of a sudden it was everywhere. And, my family were very proud and my friends were messaging. And yeah, it was a nice article, but a bit of focus on Flipdish and what we do for our customers and what our mission is. And obviously, the fact that if you join a company like us, there are great career opportunities. I've had 3 different roles since I've been here. As we all know, there's lots of people who have started off and been with us for years and had, I think in some cases 6 or 7 different roles.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, I've spoken to Kailash, I've spoken to Lauren, who in similar ways have had multiple roles across multiple different departments, and it means that you're kind of constantly learning, constantly evolving. I think it's one of the nicest things about working at Flipdish is that kind of, if you want to go somewhere, the option is usually there for you to kind of push on, right?
Yeah, sure. So when I started off, I quickly was sticking my head out of my legal swim lane, as I called it. I felt I was the equivalent to the nosy neighbour who's got their hands over the fence looking in. And what I really liked about it is you could just get involved in everything. As you know, we're very transparent. There's no walls between teams. And so I just started to get interested in other areas, worked pretty heavily with commercial on contracts and customer queries and partnerships. I just started to stray out of my legal field pretty heavily very quickly, and I just found that really, really interesting, really energizing, and then got to work with a huge amount of people who I think have had a huge impact on my own career and how I practice as a lawyer and now as a people leader.
And how was that transition from legal to now incorporate people? Was that a big challenge? Was it dropped in the deep end? How did that go?
That is another good question. So I think many opportunities in life, it was actually terrible timing when the opportunity came up. I was quite sick. I had got a deep vein thrombosis and I was in and out of hospital and was very ill for a few months. And this opportunity came up and I was great opportunity, terrible timing on the personal side. But I grabbed it with both hands. As the general counsel, I was involved in a lot of people related matters like policies and contracts, and some other things. And then some other things were new to me when I had to step into this role. Like I had like strategic people initiatives, like shaping culture, leading with, you know, a people mindset and moving away from sometimes what is a more legal mindset of like, you know, risk and compliance. So that was quite a shift, but in a way it was a natural transition to me, but lots of learning on the job. And like, as you know, I have an amazing people team with Laura, Hannah, Brenny, Shiny, Aveen and Sally, and particularly Jessica Appetit, our COO, who has been incredible to work with and learn from, as well as the whole wider leadership group. I mean, Flipdish, I would think, is full of people who are like very ambitious, like very super smart, like low ego, and are just so willing to like help everyone out in any way they can, in a way that I just probably haven't come across before.
And you mentioned culture there. What sort of work do you do around culture? And is that difficult? As you mentioned, obviously, some people are fully remote, some people are in person. You know, what's been done around culture in Flipdish?
Sure. So culture for me is always a work in progress. And like any company, we have our core values that we reiterate, we go through all the time, they're front and center. And we use those like values to shape, you know, where we go and how we show up. Culture, you know, we're very, very keen on getting employee feedback, which is why we have various initiatives like the employee offsites. We have anonymous questions to C-suite. We have various initiatives. Like we're constantly looking for feedback and seeing like, hey, where can we do better and what can we change? Always a work in progress. It's never a done deal. Always at the top of my agenda.
Yeah, it was always nice to see those on the all hands, just the positive ones that were just statements. And yeah, it is lovely. And I've always found Flipdish to just be very empathetic to any kind of personal things that were going on, and always gave people the room to kind of take that time for themselves. So I think that always gets good buy-in from staff as well, right?
That's good to hear.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, what kind of, for you in people in legal, what are your kind of main initiatives that you're kind of focused on now for the next, let's say, 2 years?
Oh, 2 years is a long time in a growth stage startup, Cian.
let's go to 1 year then.
Okay, so I guess on the legal front, as you probably know, like we're in the EU as an Irish headquartered company, and there is a lot of regulation in the EU, an increasing amount. And so it's keeping an eye on that and how it impacts the business and working with it. On the people front, there is, you know, how can we supercharge our amazing employees, give them growth and development opportunities for people who, you know, want opportunities to become a manager. How do we facilitate that and ensure they're set up for success and they have access to resources and training? You know, how do we keep our finger on the pulse on culture and ensure that isn't something that, you know, is great now but could slide very quickly if we like take it as a given? How do we hire incredible talent? I mean, hiring is something we put a lot of thought into and we're very intentional about. And I can't take credit for in the last 2 months because we have another VP who'll hopefully do a podcast, you know, with you, who looks after that. Yeah, so there's lots of, they're the key things that jump to mind. So I'm sure after this, I'll think of 100 others that were super important.
But yeah, getting good people is always one of the trickiest things, right? Is like that hiring practice, very flexible as well. So I always think, like, my friends would say to me, oh, you know, would I apply for that job? And I kind of, knowing them, I'm like, you wouldn't like that. But then I have other friends, I'm like, you would thrive there. Like, this is exactly do you see that as well? Or is that a fair?
I think that's fair. I think personally, I find it so energizing working with a bunch of people who really want to be here and who want to build something together and want to see it through. Like there's just nothing like it. And so when you have people who have like similar like goals to achieve that, it's just unbeatable.
And if you were kind of trying to convince one of your best friends to come and work at Flipdish, what's the elevator pitch?
Ooh, again, it depends on the role. What I would say is you get the opportunity to have a chunk of ownership in a startup that is just pretty unique, I would say. And you get the ability to like shape, you know, an exciting growth stage company and like what we do. And when you think it back to like, bring it back to Flipdish's mission, like our mission for me is the difference we make is that your independent and small customers are restaurants who are, you know, the lifebloods of our communities. We help them not just survive, but thrive in a digital world. Like our restaurants, when I go down the street in Sligo town, are highly unlikely to have an IT director or someone who's going to build their own website for them or their own restaurant management system. And that is like the difference I feel we make. And I think once you realize, hey, this is like something that is like making a difference to our communities and our towns and our food industry as a whole, then that's just really exciting. You're part of this mission that is making a difference. And so for me, it's not just a chunk of ownership. It's like you're making a difference, you're making an impact. When I was making the decision about my next career move, for me, it was like, well, I'm definitely not going to go to a business which I think is doing bad. And the next step up is something that's neutral, neither good nor bad. And then for me, it was like, go somewhere that's doing good and making an impact. And like Flipdish is like doing good.
And you can get behind that, and you've bought into the industry, which is really nice to see. Did you do, I know most people in the business do a work placement. Did you do a work placement?
I did do a work placement.
And where?
I did it in Sligo, of course.
Of course.
I did it in Tukas Taqueria, which is one of our customers. The staff were absolutely amazing when I was there for the day. I was quite tired at the end of it.
What did they have you doing?
I did a bit of everything. I came in early and I was like, I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing. So I took the sweeping brush, did a little bit of sweeping. They had a member of staff there who, well, I remember he was moving to Spain in a few weeks. He was from Argentina, but he showed me how they made guacamole, which was fun. And then I was on the till for most of the rest of the day. And one thing that caught me by surprise is I think we're also used to tapping cards now, that dealing with cash, I think my maths had been a bit rusty, so it took a few minutes to get up to speed, and then I was fine after a few transactions. Very busy lunch period. You can see how hard people in hospitality work. You're on your feet all day. You can be in very small areas, very busy, a hot kitchen behind you, big crowds at lunchtime that you're trying to get through relatively quickly and have everyone a good experience. But for me, I think it's key for us being customer centric. Like, we can't know our customers' pain points and what they want unless we have that experience of how tough it can be at times to work in the industry. As we've all seen, there's a whole lot of like different economic factors that now make it tougher for our hospitality businesses as well.
Yeah, and I loved the initiative of doing the work placement. I loved seeing the videos of Connor, the CEO, delivering food, and just the idea of him being in that environment. I just was great. I think as a member of staff, it's always nice.
I am really disappointed that I didn't order pizza that day and have Connor deliver me my pizza.
What a power trip to just make the CEO bring you a pizza. Be great. Yeah. So what are those real big challenges? I know you spent some time speaking to customers. You're obviously involved in Dish Live, which I wanted to talk to you about as well. What are those challenges you hear coming up within the kind of hospitality space?
I don't want to speak as if, this is absolutely what every customer has said, but just, talking and catching up with a few of them. I think in Ireland in particular, there is a lot of regulation, which is good. Like, regulation is rules, and like rules protect us, and they like encourage good things and good practices. But I think a lot of smaller businesses are feeling that challenging to grapple with the volume of regulation, what they have to do, how they keep on top of it. And if you think about it, some of our restaurants are, owner operators. So you are the chef, you're the cook, you're the manager, you're the one sorting the accounts, you're managing technology, you're managing staff. And then Maura rings you up and says, hey, Cian, I'm sick today. And, as one restaurant owner told me, Maura, if you, the lawyer, are out in Flipdish, like, they will survive the day you're not sick. They're not going to call in another lawyer. However, if it's my one person who is in charge of burgers and I am a burger restaurant, I have to get someone else in, and that can be really, really stressful.
Yeah, so and seeing those side of things, that's where our technology comes into that, right? To try and alleviate some of that stress and help with those, like you said, they might not be an IT person or be able to build a website or do the accounts, and that's where Flipdish try and fit into the landscape, right?
Sure. It's hard running businesses nowadays, no matter what sector you're in. There's a lot of moving parts. You can't be an expert in everything. I know that as a generalist who switched roles a few times, like, there are just some things you just will not be an expert in, and you want to delegate. And then it's like, how can you do so in an efficient way with a trusted partner who has your interests at heart, knows what you and businesses like yours needs, and has this, I suppose, seamless all-in-one solution that you can just rely on and go, right, that's that part of the business taken care of. I can now get back to ensuring my consumers come in and have the most amazing experience when they come to my restaurant, order from it, I can look after my staff, and I can do all the other things that now I've freed up time to do because this bit is sorted.
Amazing. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about Dish Live. And it was a great success last year. Is it happening again? What are the thoughts?
Oh, you're looking for insider info, Cian.
Absolutely, I am.
I think we'd probably need to announce to everyone in Flipdish first.
Okay.
I can promise I can update you on a second podcast if there is one. I mean, Dish Live has always been an important part for the last few years of the Flipdish employee experience. It's about bringing our employees together, reflecting on the year that has just gone by, a bit of fun, connection. You know how it goes. It's got all the ingredients to be a successful night, day and night away. So we have been talking actually just this week at the offsite about what that would look like this year. So a bit more to come.
Okay, so stay tuned is what you're saying.
Stay tuned.
Same bat channel. Okay, great. And I have a couple of quick fire questions for you then. Most impactful person in your career to date?
Can I have two to that?
You can have two, absolutely.
So the first is I had an amazing mentor, a lawyer I shared an office with in my old law firm, Arthur Cox. His name was Paul Robinson. Paul passed away young a few years ago.
Sorry to hear.
But he had a huge impact on my career. He got me into the world of like advising startups and venture capital backed companies and venture capital. And, kind of a time when it was, maybe not like everyone's cup of tea. And the second one is Jessica Offatit, our COO. Jess is someone I learn something from every single time I talk to her. She's had, an incredible impact on my career, professionally and personally. So both those are professional. I will say that I don't think you can ever separate professional and personal. And I think things can start, at home. And so that would be, my parents, who are incredible, encouraging, keen on like education and supporting all of us. And I think that's where it started, and I grew from there.
It's so nice to hear it. Jess is also one of my favorite people I've ever worked with as well, and just such a steady hand, and always made me feel at ease in the business and that we were going the right direction. So yeah, completely see how she's so impactful on you, and I'm very jealous you get to work so closely with her. So next thing is then, if you were to go back to your younger self, your 18-year-old self, and you were to give yourself one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Join Formula One as a career.
Okay.
I would say be very intentional about learning. I think when you're learning, you're probably likely to be thriving, but I don't think we should leave it to chance. And again, if I had to go back in time, I would like have dedicated time for learning as I've gone through my career, rather than, be so caught up in busyness. And then maybe a year later being like, hey, I could have done that. I could have learned that. I could have like upskilled. I could have stretched myself. So that's one thing I think, like being very intentional about learning. And for me, it's tied back to taking ownership of your career, and that like my career is my responsibility. My personal life is my responsibility. And then just like living that.
Is that a nice way of saying you just had the crack in college?
I did have the crack in college, but I also, I did do my coursework, and I got on fine in college. I went to the University of Limerick, had a great time. Still have all my best friends from there, and one of them lives here in London, which is why I'm over frequently enough.
Oh, great. Okay. So death row meal.
Oh, that is a very tough one. I'm quite superstitious, so I'm actually going to touch wood.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure you'll never end up on death row.
We did play a game at the offside earlier this week, which was, I can't remember what it was called, but it was something like, anyway, death was involved, and every time someone was killed in it, pretend I made them touch wood. Death row meal. I love Italian.
Okay, and it doesn't have to be. You can have a starter you can have this starter. And it doesn't have to make sense from a cuisine point of view. So you can go 3 courses.
I'll start backwards with dessert. My mum was an amazing cook. And the way so many of our like good memories are tied up in food as a child. So her, like apple. She makes this like Eve's pudding, which is like warm apple and sponge. That would definitely be on the menu. I think another one is I always have this memory of a child of my, like a dad was a small business owner in Sligo town, and every Friday the treat, there was 4 of us kids, and every Friday the treat was he would bring home a Chinese takeaway from, I think it was called Mandarin Court in Sligo.
Okay.
So I always remember that. Of course, we never as kids like finished like half of what was brought home, but it was our Friday night thing. And so many happy childhood memories tied up with that. So maybe I would sneak that in. Can I have 2 mains?
Yeah, 2 mains, absolutely.
I would definitely have an Italian starter, like something like burrata or bruschetta. I mean, I'd probably have a lot of things, but as you know, I'm pretty petite. There's no way I'm going to eat all that. So I might have to call you and a few other people over.
You're delaying your own death as well here just by having a really long meal.
It was all tactical.
Genius.
I actually want something else.
Yeah, that's not in season right now. Yeah, that's the trick. So favorite restaurant in Ireland? This gets everybody.
Yeah, a good question. I'm trying not to say it depends for the third time.
Yeah,
Lawyers have a terrible rep for saying that. There is a really nice pub a few minutes from us in West Sligo called the Beach Bar. I think the Guardian listed it as like the second nicest pub in Ireland, and there's food there. And for me, it's not just the food, it's the atmosphere around it. It's the Atlantic, it's the fact that it's near home, there's the beach. And you know, we've had lots of like family events there, so again, it's memories driven. In terms of like takeaway in that, I mean, we have our pick. There's so many good food businesses in Ireland. So many of our customers as well, like, you know, you've Tuckos that I did my work placement on, obviously biased, I was in there. Yep. So many in Dublin, from pizza to burgers. I feel like I can't name them because I'm going to be disloyal.
Yeah, you're going to upset somebody if you do it.
I will say I think Sligo and the west of Ireland has a pretty amazing food scene, because I've been spending a lot of time there recently. And I think, you know, encouraging our like native food industry and food businesses should be like pretty high on the agenda for Ireland. You know, they've had a pretty tough time. I think there has been some similar challenges in the UK, but from maybe different perspectives. So yeah, I know that's a very flaky answer.
Very lawyer answer.
Very lawyer answer.
Okay, and my final question for you then is one Flipdisher you think we should bring onto the Flipdishers in Focus podcast who has maybe a great story or something that you think would be a great guest?
Ooh, so you've had Laura Pearson, who's the amazing people partner on my team.
And was an amazing guest, so you're absolutely right. Yeah.
You've had Gavin, our VP of product. You've had Kalash,
Lauren,
who's Armwood Need. You've had Lauren.
Ryan Shirley,
a fellow F1 fan.
Big F1, was wearing F1 gear during it as well.
Was he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
That's dedication. I think Declan would be a good shout.
I think Declan would be amazing. I know we tried to twist his arm.
I'm going to text him straight away after this to be nominated.
Amazing. Well, Máire, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Taking time out of the sun as well to join us. So yeah, hopefully we get to talk again when the Dish Live details are announced.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Cian. It was good to catch up.
Thank you.